So I've been struggling with some relationship anxiety recently. It's not been easy. I feel this deep fear of loss that I just can't seem to get over. My therapist tells me to label my emotions, to watch out for thinking traps, stop engaging in catastrophic thinking or trying to predict the future. These therapeutic techniques help to a certain extent, but anxiety always comes bouncing back the first chance it gets. Dealing with emotions has never been my forte. Emotions are like a minefield. Minefields weren't designed to be navigated, they're meant to blow you up. So what is a man to do? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 ways I've adapted my minimalist lifestyle to effectively liberate me from my anxiety once and for all. Write down your personal values. Anxiety is often rooted in uncertainty about the future, and finding clarity is one of the most effective ways to dissolve it. In The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey talks about beginning with the end in mind. He asks us to imagine our funeral. People from different areas of our lives come together to deliver our eulogy. Our loved ones, our friends, our coworkers, what would I want each of them to say about me? I went along with the exercise and I wrote out some of the roles I want to be known for at the end of my life. For example, as a friend, I am someone who initiates regular contact and acts as a source of aid, entertainment, and mentorship. As a partner, I am someone who gives love with tolerance, who communicates effectively to build a future that we're both happy with. As a storyteller, I am someone who experiments with different mediums that resonate with people to share ideas that matter. As I wrote out this document, I realized this is the one place where anxiety holds no power. Anxiety is a parasitic demon that feeds off your insecurities. In my weakest moments when I'm crippled by anxiety, I lose the motivation to do anything because everything I do feels like a pointless charade. Like, what is the point of working out if I'm fundamentally ugly? I know, stupid thoughts. But anxiety makes you feel like nothing you do right now can change the outcome because my fate is already sealed. When fate is your enemy, thinking about death gives you a fresh perspective because death is the ultimate fate. When you spell out who you are at the time of your death, you're not giving anxiety a chance to control the future because there is no more future. The key to writing this document is to use present tense verbs. This is who I am and this is who I will be from this day until the last day. I call it my personal mission statement or my personal constitution. Bad things can happen in my life. They can strip me naked, take away all my material possessions, end all my relationships. But I will still have my constitution for as long as I am conscious. Coincidentally, this is also what minimalism is all about. Taking a quote from theminimalists.com, minimalism is a tool to rid yourself of life's excess in favor of focusing on what's important, so you can find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. But what is important? I'm here to tell you that your personal constitution is the most important. When you learn to embrace your constitutional character, you can live with unshakable confidence because you know the end game and you will put anxiety in its place. We're about to go to war with anxiety, so I consulted Sun Tzu's Art of War. Chapter 1 is about laying plans. I did a little bit of the work already. I literally wrote out my personal constitutions on poster paper, but I took it one step further and mounted it on the wall. This wall is right across from my workstation, so my eyes have to graze these words every time I walk past this area. It's like my daily dose of motivation. But just having a creed isn't enough. We need to be more specific. On Sundays, I plan my week using a to-do list app where I created a category for each of the roles on my constitution. And then I create tasks that help me fulfill each of those roles. The goal is not to fulfill all of these roles on any given day, but to spread them out across the week. I try to only schedule 2 to 3 big tasks a day. Big tasks are things that take anywhere between 60 minutes to 90 minutes. Then I try to fill the gaps in my days with smaller tasks. It's also not a big deal if I don't get around to a task. I just move them over to one of the other days. I leave some slack on Fridays and Saturdays for this purpose. I suppose you could also use calendar events, but I personally find living off of calendar to be a little dehumanizing. It makes me feel like a robot executing a program. I still use the calendar for appointments with other people, but for everything else, I prefer the flexibility of a to-do list. Either way, my weeks are now filled with things to do that are in alignment with my constitution, and every task I complete takes me closer to a place where anxiety has no power. It is a little morbid. It's like marching towards our deaths. But that is life. Knowing that I am in full control of the way that I march puts my anxiety at bay. Even with the constitution, the weekly planning, and the to-do list, we're still talking the talk. We have to take it to the next level by walking the walk. So now that we have a plan for conquering anxiety, we have to be ruthless in its execution. Monk mode is this productivity hack that's been making rounds on YouTube recently. The idea is that if you truly want to get ahead of 99% of people in life, you have to sacrifice your pleasures in order to focus on your goals, day in, day out, like a monk. I don't exactly know what the goal of being a monk is, but it is true, they are very proficient at focusing long and hard on things. Every morning I wake up, I tell myself, I am a monk and I have things to check off on my to-do list. I'm not trying to get ahead of 99% of people, I'm just trying to be disciplined about living my life off of a to-do list. Life doesn't get any more minimalist than this. If you look at my to-do list items, some of them are rather unwieldy, like write a YouTube script. Some days are just tough. Even when I'm not crippled by anxiety, I can't just wake up and write a YouTube script. It's too mentally taxing. On those hard days, you can reduce your to-do list down to a single item. Move your body. If you've ever trained in a monastery, you'll learn that a big part of a monk's day is actually moving around doing physical labor. Tending to the garden, washing robes, cooking, carrying things from one place to another. Anxiety makes it damn near impossible to perform mental functions, but you can still always get up and move. Moving around is not a cop-out, it's actually in alignment with one of my constitutional roles. As a cultivator, I will nourish and train my body. When I die, I want people to know that I am a person who chooses to move, and no amount of anxiety can get in the way of that. When you have anxiety, you also start doubting yourself. Am I ever gonna be good enough? But I didn't always feel this way. I remember many moments in my life where I felt like I was at the top of the fucking world. It's easy to think that whatever triggered your highs in the past are lost artifacts, external circumstances you no longer have access to. But another way of looking at it is those external circumstances caused a positive chemical reaction in your body. So even if you can't recreate the same circumstances, you can trigger the same chemical reaction. I'm talking about testosterone. I'm not an expert in the area, so I recommend you listen to Dr. Andrew Huberman's podcast episode on how to optimize your testosterone and estrogen. I'll link the episode in the description, but the TLDR is, testosterone helps humans reduce pain, and anxiety is a form of pain. The reason it does this is because in order for evolution to proceed, males have to outcompete other males to mate, and the males who can withstand the most amount of pain are often the ones who succeed. It's clearly more complicated in modern society. You're not going to get very far in life if all you are is a gym bro. But we are still very much programmed by our evolutionary underpinnings. Tying this back to minimalism, if you want to do less but still be effective in your fight against anxiety, optimizing your testosterone is the way to go. I don't take any supplements. I'm a big believer in natural processes. I've effectively just taken all the behavioral protocols recommended by Dr. Huberman and programmed them into my life. I wake up every day before 9 a.m. and go outside for a 10 to 20 minute walk to absorb some morning sunlight. I train myself to breathe through my nose. I avoid bright light at night, and I lift heavy weights 2 to 3 times a week. Acquire power. Recently, I started reading The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I put off this book for the longest time because I don't find power very attractive. Some of the most powerful people in the world are also the most manipulative and the most toxic. But right in the opening of this book, Robert Greene says something along the lines of, even if you don't seek out power, power will seek you out. You either acquire power or be crushed by power. When you feel anxious, you may also feel powerless, and the natural solution to counteract that feeling is to balance yourself out by acquiring some power. Power doesn't exist in a vacuum, it only exists in relation to other people. So you have to seek out areas of your life that give you opportunities to wield power. You can engage in competitive sports. It doesn't have to be physical sports because personally I suck at that and it's probably gonna make me feel even more powerless. I started playing chess again. I also got back into training for dance competitions, which used to be a big part of my lifestyle. You have to pick activities that you are already relatively proficient at so that you have a good chance of winning against other people, and then you milk that feeling of triumph. Winning games can give you some power back, but it is what I would consider bottom tier power. Higher forms of power require you to put yourself in a position where other people's livelihoods depend on you. This is arguably much harder to achieve, but you can focus your energies on being a leader at work, building out a business, and earning more money. The more effective you can be at these roles, the less anxiety you will have. Honestly, power acquisition is the least minimalist of the 5 strategies I shared. But you can make it more minimalist by using the general equation, money equals power. Forget everything else. Make more money and it will help you with your anxiety. I know I bashed therapy at the beginning of this video, but therapy does help. And when you have more money, you can also afford higher quality therapy. Maybe. I want to end by saying that anxiety is debilitating, and everything I've shared today I've adopted into my life in my personal effort to fight anxiety. Some of these approaches may seem a little extreme, but when life gets tough, we need to respond with toughness. Taking some inspiration from the TV series Game of Thrones, a common greeting amongst the peasants is Valar Morghulis, which means all men must die. And the customary response is Valar Dohaeris, all men must serve. So let's start serving ourselves and conquer anxiety once and for all.